Classroom of the Elite Season 3 Episode 2 is here, once again adapting 150 plus pages and in just 2 episodes completing Volume 8. But surprisingly, the amount of cut content in this episode is way less compared to the previous seasons and especially the first episode this season. Still, that doesn't mean the pacing doesn't suck and every important scene managed to make it into the anime. Because they sure as hell did not adapt. How did Koenji manage to figure out Ayano Koji's true abilities, Nagumo's group coming over and playing cards with Ayano Koji's group, and a 1v1 rigged card match to test Ayano Koji, along with completely skipping Ryuen and Hashimoto's meeting. So if you want to know about all these amazing moments and cut content, please continue watching this video. Also, as usual, comment down below if you have any questions about the episode or things that you did not understand. I'll do my best to answer them. And now, without wasting any more time, let's get started. So the episode starts with Ayano Koji's group training for the relay exam, and even though this scene is mostly the same as the LN, one massive difference is that Ayano Koji actually chases after Koenji instead of arriving where he is, and being aware that Kyo is chasing him, Koenji purposefully chooses a difficult terrain to run on and even speeds up in order to see if Kyo would be able to keep up, which he did without breaking a sweat. Also, a fun fact is that Koenji did not actually fight and kill a boar barehanded in the LN. In fact, there were no boars at all. The anime just decided to add that for some reason. Like, I'm genuinely baffled as to what the thought process behind this change was. Moving on, Kyo asks Koenji to at least do the bare minimum for the exam in order for the group to not fail, and Koenji, being who he is, he completely ignores Kyo to walk away. But as he's going away, Ayano Koji grabs his wrist with so much strength that Koenji finds it hard to move. Really wish the anime kept Kyo's monologue for this scene. Seeing this display of strength, Koenji says that he found the identity of the person who managed to take down Dragon Boy, referring to Ryuen. Ayano Koji as usual tries to deny this, but Koenji is completely convinced because Kyo's strength was not the only evidence he had, because throughout the camp, Koenji noticed just how weird Ishizaki and Ryuen act around Ayano Koji, along with hints he gathered from a scene that was completely cut out, which was Nagumo coming in to play cards with Ayano Koji's group. During the night before, Nagumo comes over to play cards with Kyo, and you might be wondering, why did he specifically come to this group? And that's because, surprise surprise, the anime cut out Nagumo and Ayano Koji's first ever meeting, which happened in Volume 7.5. In Volume 7.5, Nagumo actually goes in to personally meet with Ayano Koji because he managed to compete with Manabu during the sports festival. Nagumo tries to feel out if Ayano Koji is a threat to him. Kyo manages to play dumb during that moment and get Nagumo to leave, but unfortunately for Kyo, Nagumo still had his doubts. I won't go into full details about the card game, but basically Nagumo came in with a rigged deck to see if Ayano Koji would notice that he's cheating. Kyo as usual plays dumb, and even though Koenji was not playing with them, he was quite focused on watching the game. And those are the reasons why Koenji managed to expose Ayano Koji while being so confident in it. Moving on to the Nazuna scene, where Kyo approaches her. Once again, surprise surprise, this was once again not his first time meeting her, and he met her in Volume 7.5. At this point, I'm like genuinely convinced I'm gonna have to mention details from it every single episode this season, cause I know for a fact that I'm definitely gonna have to mention it once again for episode 3. But yeah, Nazuna actually met Ayano Koji when Nagumo first went to see him, and interestingly enough, Kyo actually had an interaction with Nazuna even before that moment, and that was in Volume 7, where he found Nazuna's dropped keychain, though he did not actually go to meet her at the time and dropped off the keychain at the lost items section. The anime obviously had to change all of that. One interesting fact is that Ayano Koji intentionally acts like a cocky first year who's confident he can take down Nagumo to make Nazuna think that he isn't a threat, so she doesn't report him to Nagumo. The late night talk from the boys was pretty much the same aside from being more detailed and having Ayano Koji's inner thoughts, which is the case with almost every single moment in this anime. And now moving on to the final major scene which got skipped, which was Hashimoto's meeting with Ryuen. In the LN, Kyo can actually hear what they were talking about. Hashimoto first starts by asking if Ryuen really did step down as the class leader, and also talks about how he can see how much potential Ayano Koji's class has after being in the same group. Ryuen doesn't really answer Hashimoto's questions and keeps Ayano Koji's identity safe, and he wonders what exactly is Hashimoto up to. And here's where we learn that Hashimoto just wants to stay in A class, and he's willing to work for anyone who's on the top, willing to betray Arisu in a heartbeat. Ryuen wonders just how long can Hashimoto play on all sides, and Hashimoto says that it's his specialty, and also says that he can still see fire in Ryuen's eyes. Then we get the arrival of Nagumo and Manabu, and Nagumo here straight up tells Manabu to forfeit the match or he'll end up regretting it tomorrow. He also tells Manabu that he's aware of him cooperating with the first year student, and he also knows that it's Ayano Koji. Hearing this, Hashimoto is literally unable to process what the hell they're talking about, and he's genuinely shocked because he's always thought of Ayano Koji as a background character. We also get Nagumo asking Ryuen if he wants to bet on him and Manabu's match for 10,000 points, to which Ryuen replies, "I'm willing to play along for 1,000,000 points. Nagumo thinks Ryuen is just joking around, but then Ryuen says, "If you don't got the guts to pay up that much, don't bother asking me to make a bet." This was one of the coldest lines anyone has dropped in the series who isn't Ayano Koji, so I'm really sad it did not make it into the anime. After that, Ayano Koji heads back to their room. Shortly after, Hashimoto comes back and Kyo felt like Hashimoto was staring at him. Then we move on to the exam, and aside from Ayano Koji intentionally holding back on all the exams, aside from the meditation where most people wouldn't notice, and the fact that Koenji did not goof around and ran the minimum required distance and placed second, the exam was pretty much the same, and the same with the results section. Still preferred for them to take their time, but it honestly wasn't that bad this episode. And the final thing I wanna talk about is Ayano Koji saying that he's gonna do whatever it takes to save K. I assume most anime onlys are gonna be thinking that he's only saying this to manipulate K, but in the light novel, it genuinely feels like he'd do anything to keep her safe, because the anime cuts out all the moments of them getting closer and sometimes basically flirting with each other. And the anime also makes Kyo way more edgier for some fucking reason. For example, this was what he thinks about her at the end of volume 7.5, which was where season 2 ended, and the anime replaced it with the all according to plan shit. In the light novel, it genuinely feels like he cares for her and wants to get close to K. And that is basically the end of volume 8 and this video. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the channel for more Classroom of the Elite and just anime content in general. With all that being said though, have a nice rest of your day, and hopefully see you guys in my next video.